Hello everyone, I'm Ravi Verma, co-founder and CTO of IMESH. In our last session, we saw how we installed and configured Nginx Ingress Controller, and we were able to get traffic from outside the cluster within the cluster. We were able to access one of the web services. Today, we will be going next, and we'll try to secure that communication channel. It was plain HTTP in our last session. Today we'll be enabling our HTTPS session so that the communication channel can be secured. So we'll be using Cert Manager for that, and let's encrypt to issue the certificate. But before going there, let's have a recap of that last session, whatever we have learned, and we'll continue from there. So what we saw in our last session, like we had a cluster, and so this one we can tell it's a web browser or client, anything. And here we had a load balancer. So this load balancer was managed by Ingress, which we installed. And here we have Ingress. So the traffic was coming to load balancer. Let me take another. And from there, it was going to Ingress, and Ingress internally, it was based on routing rules. It can forward request to different services. So one of the service we had created, which were running on port 80. So it will be service, and internally it can forward that request to pod. Another pod. So these are the things we had done in our last session. Today will be, so in our last session, so this communication channel, what we are seeing here, let me highlight with another color. It is HTTP. It's not secure. So anyone in the middle can infer the traffic. Today we'll be enabling as part of it, like we will be securing it with certificate. So let's go ahead and see certificate manager. So cert manager is a agent, kind of agent we can say, but it is having more responsibilities as well to automate getting the certificate for a particular service or a cluster, so that, and it can, when the certificate is going to expire, it can automatically send a request again and fetch the certificate and reissue the certificate. Let's encrypt. We'll be using it here as a certificate issuer and the certificate authority, we can say also, for issuing the certificate. So for doing that one, first we'll be installing Cert Manager, and then we'll be creating a ClusterIssuer. ClusterIssuer is basically, it represents a certificate authority. We'll be configuring that to point to let's encrypt authority and certificate issuer. And that will be using in our Ingress so that it can enable the HTTPS part, and we'll be accessing that from outside. So let's install, go ahead and install our Cert Manager. So we can go to this path, cert-manager.io docs installation kubectl. Just will be, currently we are following all. So for whatever I have done, it is all related to YAML apply directly we are doing. We are manifest apply we are doing. There are a couple of ways, but so far, and in this session also, we are following that path. So let's go apply. This will be again creating its own namespace and required related resources. Okay, so meanwhile, when installing, let's create our next resource, which is a ClusterIssuer. Okay, so we can again API version. It is under Cert Manager, so we need to use that Cert Manager group, and then V1. It's kind. We have two kinds of issuer: ClusterIssuer and normal issuer. Normal issuer is basically namespace scoped it is. So if that issuer is used, it means that issuer can be used to issue the certificate for a particular namespace only. But if we are using a ClusterIssuer, then that particular issuer can be used to issue certificate for any namespace. So let's go ahead with that only for now. Data. So let's give some name. Let's encrypt demo Linux. So here we need to specify a name, email ID basically. So if the particular certificate is going to expire, we'll be getting mail from the organization. It intimates, okay, your particular certificate is going to expire in that particular few days or something like that. So we need to mention here our email ID. So this is used when a certificate is issued, and basically it's an identity. It stores a key here, and that is used for issuing the next certificates. It's a identity of that particular account. So it will be getting stored into particular location, which we like particular secret, which we are going to give a name. So we can give a name of our choice. So let's give it key. Then we need to specify server. So it is having two endpoints basically. Either we can go with the staging or we can go with the prod. So let's first check with the staging one. We'll use staging for testing and all. Staging V02. Please make sure spellings are correct, otherwise it won't work. Encrypt. Then we have solvers, which will be HTTP 01 call ingress, and the ingress is class Nginx. Okay, so this ClusterIssuer will be kind of representing or working as a certificate issuer for when we deploy that ingress with HTTPS access. So let's go ahead and deploy this. Let's check first. Okay, yeah, it's installed. ClusterIssuer. So ClusterIssuer is created. We can get the access also. We can check the status. So we have it false. So it takes some time to get it. Like it will be becoming true when we have a few other setups we need to do. That need to be done. So like IP, we need to map with the domain name. Then only we'll be able to get a proper certificate. So for that, what we need to do first, we need to get IP of IP. That IP need to be mapped with a particular domain name, and that domain name we need to specify in our ingress. Okay, so let's get first IP. kubectl. So IP of the load balancer, we need to take that external IP, and then we need to map this to our domain name. For that, I'll be adding here demo.app. In our DNS server, we need to specify this mapping need to be done. So I'm creating record. We can view status. So once it is in sync, that time we will have like the mapping is done and we will be able to access. Okay, so let's wait. It might take a few seconds, not more than that. So this is our older IP. We were using it to access. Now we will be able to access this with the name. So now it is in sync. So now we would be able to access it with demo. Yeah, so we are able to access it. Now we can use this one to get the certificate. And once certificates is kind of issued properly, then we'll have a lock symbol here and we'll not get this error warning. So let's modify our ingress for that. Okay, so for that few modification need to be done for this. So let's go ahead and do it. So we need to add basically a TLS section here. Our certificate and key will be stored here, the name which we give here. Demo app. IMESH TLS. And for which host that particular certificate is getting issued or will be using that, we need to use it here. So let's give the same demo.app, the domain name which we used. AI. Here now that particular host need to be specified on for which host. Like we can specify multiple host here. It's kind of virtual host, and for which particular host that service or the request is getting served, that need to be linked. So that's why we need to give a name here also, specify the host name. So yeah. So with this, we should be able to get certificate and it should be issuing, and after that we should be able to access it on HTTPS. So let's deploy and check it. Okay, 1 minute. Something is wrong. Let me check. We have used TLS, secret name, host, fine role, host. Demo app Ingress, 1 minute. Spelling mistake, it looks like again. Let me check. So let's check kubectl get certs. Okay, no, not yet. Certificate is not issued yet. We need to wait for some time. Let's check. Is there? How come? Oh, yes, we have missed one thing. We have not mentioned like which certificate issuer basically will be used to issue the certificate. So that part need to be mentioned. So that we missed it here. Sorry, my bad. And we need to mention certificate issuer basically. So cert manager, IO, and then cluster issuer we are using. Need to give a name. So the name which we used here, that same name we need to specify so that it can request a particular issuer to get the certificate. Yep. Let's apply. Configure. So we should be able to get certs initially in the false state. It takes some time. It sends the request to server, then it sends a signing request certificate, and then it gets the certificate back and it is getting installed. So it might take some time. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. We can check the status as well, what it is, if any error. With describe sort name. So showing certificate stored, certificate resource. requested. So certificate request has been sent. Let's wait. Okay, so we can check certificate request if something is getting wrong with certificate. Something had gone wrong with that. So let's check. We have it true. It's not ready yet. Let's check it. Certificate request has been approved by cert manager. References suit does not have a ready status condition. These are not ready. Yeah. Let's try to get with production issuer. Let me first clean it up. It is not there and we should not be able to access this as well. It should give error. Now, fine. Okay, so let's use a production one. So let me fine. So I'll deploy it again and then we'll redeploy our Ingress. Fine. So let's check that. Oops. Detail. It starts still false. That's true. So we got the certificate. Now that certs also should be true. Yeah, it is issued. Now we should be able to. So it had, I think URL had some issue with once we hit now, it should be redirected and we should be able to get lock here. So we can see it got redirected and HTTPS enabled, and we can see certificate as well from here. So we can see it is issued to demo.app.imesh.ai and it is issued by Let's Encrypt. Yeah, that's all for this session. We were able to successfully install Cert Manager, then we deployed ClusterIssuer, and we enabled HTTPS access. Thank you. If any question, please contact us at contact@imesh.ai.